All right. So if you're ready, you can be part of the conversation as we head on with Rotus this morning on Business Express by getting us some messages onto the platform 0809-444-0981. Just messages only. The number once again is 0809-444-0981. Rotus, the menu is heavy this morning, but first I'd like to just pick your thoughts on this one. There was this, did we have to go to that point after the game yesterday, where someone was flat on the ground and then you had to draw in the pound and the naira comparison? I mean, the Nigerian can squeeze out humor out of the most, I don't know, out of a story.
We are the best. We are a new internet meme was created yesterday. I think her name was it Lauren James was the name of the English player that got a red card for stomping on the Super Falcon player yesterday, and she was sent off. So yes, in fact, there was another one. Someone put my bills on the English player and then my salary on the Nigerian player, and it just tells you, I guess, the mindset where we are at. Currency, our bills, it's money. That's that's the mindset where we are. The economy and money. That's where we are today.
That segues us into our first item here: the impact of Niger closing their airspace on airfares for travelers. Rotus, they say in a fight, everyone would use what hurts that they have in their possession to fight, and here we are. We've not gotten to blows yet. They've announced shutting down of airspace. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, I'm going to forward you two maps here. Let me send it to the WhatsApp platform and also your own phone. You'll see I've circled Niger in red, and then circled Burkina Faso and Mali. And you can see the little dots, the little airplanes, how they have to reroute, and because they want to avoid the airspace, right? And essentially, those flights basically are going to being diverted is going to make flights more expensive. But here's the thing: France announced that they are going to suspend aid and even suspend flights to Burkina Faso, because Burkina Faso has said that they are sympathetic to the regime in Niger, and if any violence takes place, if any attack, it will be taken as an attack on all of them, because there's a military regime there. So I just thought, okay, let me circle Mali and Burkina Faso. What if they also decide to close their airspace in solidarity with Niger? What would that do to fly? You can see a lot of flights
rerouting all over.
All over. They go through Niger, they go through Burkina Faso, they go through Mali, because that's a route going to Europe, as far as flying through the north, then going upwards. So it's going to make things very expensive. However, there is, of course, the impact on the citizens, at least those who can afford flights in Niger themselves, who now are going to be possibly trapped. I'm not sure if any airlines were grounded on the ground when the announcement was made. But the whole thing just brings aviation back into the picture. Flying within Africa, the costs, foreign exchange, especially for Nigeria. And then it also brings up the conversation around trapped funds in Nigeria. Why flying from Nigeria to London versus flying from Accra to the same destination costs so much more money. So it's all, from a geopolitical tension, we've not brought back, the aviation is back in the headlines again.
Does this not buttress the fact that Africa is such a risky place to do business? See what it's all about. Just what started as politics or a change of regime has spiraled into businessmen who did not vouch or did not bargain for this in the first place.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, yes, there's always risk of doing business, but it's not just Africa. I mean, I saw a headline in the Financial Times that said that European businesses have lost 100 billion euros in Russia since the Ukraine war started, because you had a lot of companies pulling out of Russia, wanting to leave. Russia didn't even allow, I think McDonald's, they seized the franchise there or something and said they'll convert it to something else. So, you know, if you're a big European business or a multinational in Russia, you've lost a lot of money. Also, if you're doing business in Ukraine, there's also the impact on grain exports, see where oil is now and so on and so forth. So yeah, but yeah, you're right. I mean, there is a risk to doing business on any continent, but it is pronounced on the African continent because there's so many logistics issues. And then when these things happen, when a military junta takes over, it is a risk for a business, and you're gonna lose money now. So I don't know if they've allowed any flights that were there to leave. But if you're a commercial airliner and your flight is there, then you've probably lost some money. But then we have to ask ourselves, I mean, I have to be frank here, Niger is a very poor country, so is Burkina Faso. How many people there can afford commercial flights? But still, it's not just about them, it's about the other flights coming from Europe into sub-Saharan Africa, passing through those areas and what they cost to be if they have to divert. So yes, there's that.
In all of this, the lesson for me as I listen to you exploring all of this is that no one, no matter how poor they are, is inconsequential.
Right.
Yes, we agree. Look at it now. Yes, agreed. One of the poorest country in the world is Niger. And so, but here they are. Today, you can't come through you can't have a passage via my country. And then it's just that one is having a ripple effect across and all over the region now and across.
Because look, Niger per landmass is a really big country. It's actually very large. So you can think about what that means for its airspace and having to fly over it. So it's it's very paradoxical that such a big country of such large landmass has such poor citizens. But still, it tells you, as you just said correctly, about the impact, you know. So look, I don't know, the ECOWAS, they said they're having an emergency meeting on Thursday. I mean, I don't know why they couldn't make that meeting a lot sooner. Today is Tuesday. If you have taken this much time for your emergency meeting, you better come out with something that is definitive. You don't want to come out with another deadline. Deadline has passed now. So that means, so we'll see what happens, but they're meeting Thursday. We'll find out what happens on Thursday.
Well, it's a face-off eventually, but I'm looking at the traditional negotiators who step in to resolve these kind of issues, the corporates in this. I'm looking at, do we see a Saudi intervention in this? And this country is probably Niger, probably the junta listening to Saudi in this regard, and Qatar, for example, to help us break the ice.
Well, I would have hoped they will listen to the delegation that President Tinubu sent to them, but I understand that the man in charge, what's his name again? I can't remember his name. He didn't even attend. He sent
General Shiani.
Shiani, thank you. Shiani completely, ignored them, disrespected them because, we sent some generals over there to talk to him and he didn't pay any attention to them. So maybe, I mean, who knows? Any extra help that can mediate this matter would be fine. But at the end of the day, Omas, what are we looking for? It is for them to release Bazoum and hand power back to him, which they don't want to do. So, so it's all up in the air. I guess anyone that wants to come and mediate should come and help.
Well, I'm just looking about mediation. I'm also thinking of the man who said if we bother him too much when he leaves Aso Rock, we'll just head straight into Niger. I was thinking it might be influential to come out here now and do some great negotiation.
Yeah, but you see, you're talking about President Buhari, former President Buhari. He is a really good friend of Bazoum. So I don't know how much, of course, he's a military person himself. I don't know how much influence he has with the regime. And it's interesting that he wasn't even called up for this delegation to go. So if he can help as well, that would be great. But if that was the case, I think he would have gone already. So maybe he's staying out of it. Maybe he feels they will see him as a Bazoum ally and they wouldn't want to talk to him. So because him and Bazoum were pretty close.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we dwelled on that a bit now. So let's move on now to the economic lessons from the Oppenheimer and the power of education. Could you walk us through this story?
Yeah, look, I finally saw that these movies, Oppenheimer and Barbie, have been out now for about 3 weeks. Barbie just crossed $1 billion globally. Oppenheimer crossed 500 million, $500 million. So they were released on the same day. They've been doing very well. Of course, I'm not inclined to watch Barbie, not really interested in that. But Oppenheimer is, I finally saw it yesterday. I encourage Everyone. The thing is, it's 3 hours long, and that's part of the reason why it took me 3 weeks to see it. I had to find a window of time to quickly go. I was even late. I missed like the first 15 minutes of the film, but I managed to get there. And funny, right after the marketplace ended, marketplace 5:15 to 5:45 was smooth. So right after the marketplace finished, I quickly rushed to the theater to go and see it. The movie, of course, is about the atomic bomb. Back in 1940, was it 42 or 43 or so? And around the scientists that created this bomb and the race between German scientists, American scientists, Russian scientists to be the first person to create this thing, and the impact it had when it was finally detonated on, Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. But this is the power of education. There were so many universities that were referenced in the film: Harvard University, MIT, Cambridge, Oxford. I mean, it was all about brain power, Omas, and how when you have the best schools and they produce the best scientists, you have economic power. Look, we're talking about, and one of the reasons why Oppenheimer is doing so well is because of the context within which the film has been released. Look, we're talking about Niger and possible war. There's Ukraine and the war there. Ukraine blasted, I was talking with you about oil prices yesterday. Ukraine used a drone to blow up a Russian vessel in the Black Sea that caused oil prices. We're talking about not using, we don't want to sacrifice any Nigerian lives or Nigerian soldiers in Niger. You can use a drone to carry out your warfare. So look, technology, science, education, scientists, if we do not, as a country, put an emphasis on our education sector and produce the next generation of scientists, we're going to be forever at the mercy of the West and these other countries which have this economic power.
Okay, that just to bring context into this, the Oppenheimer built around the movie centered around Julius, that's what's his name now, Julius Robert Oppenheimer, an American theoretical physicist and director of the Manhattan Project's Los Alamos Laboratory during the Second World War. That's what it's all about. But I see someone here who said, that's Tayo, a regular, says, no wonder Japan banned the movie. It was more of a documentary for them than a movie.
Right. So of course there's still, but I mean, look, about 200,000 people in total, I think, died from the dropping of that bomb in Japan. So it's a sore spot for them, something that they wouldn't probably want to revisit.
And I hear that there is still what you call the genetics of the impact from that till this day is still felt by generations.
Of course. The radiation, I mean, there's so much science in the movie: atmospheric ignition, radiation clouds, blast radius, using the elements to create these bombs, plutonium, hydrogen. I mean, it's a documentary, it's a science movie, but it is about education and economic power. If you have a solid foundation in education, you can create anything, and you can now, wow. I really, look, as much as I'm not a fan of the Russian regime, the Russians are really powerful. They raced with the Americans for the atomic bomb. They raced with the Americans to put the first man on the moon. They raced with the Americans for nuclear power. As small as that country is, Russia is really powerful, really powerful.
Did you say as small as Russia is? I just want to be sure there wasn't a slip somewhere.
Well, when I say
as small as Russia,
Russia is the size of as far as the economy. New York's economy is about roughly the size of Russia.
That was before the dismantlement of the USSR then, right?
Right, exactly. Following the dismantlement, yeah.
Okay, so someone is here for us. Yinka Bolu comes in with a message. But before now, airfares from Lagos to UK has always been exploitative and overly expensive. So I'm expecting a change. Left to me, I would prefer the rest of Africa freeze them out. Let's see how long they will hold out. However, we'll need the Arab League on our side. Usual suspects.
Good point.
Irrespective, we must do everything to make coups unattractive. Rotus, the Nigerian Air Force controls the skies in West Africa, and we have about 20 unmanned Hellfire-like drones. This is Yinka speaking.
Use them. Thank you. Okay. So use these drones.
Okay, so Rotus, at points when usually when we come and we discuss business and you get to those points where you get the exclamations, I know you feel it more when you get to that because you can't find it in the vocabulary. This gets home very well. Thanks, Rotus.
It does. It does.
Have a great Tuesday, Rotus.
Thank you so much, Omas. You too.
All right. And thanks to everyone who's been part of it. I see Tayo, Yinka, Bolu, and I also see someone who didn't put his name to his message, but I will say thank you all so much. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa.